In a few moments, you will have an experience which will seem completely real. It will be the result of your subconscious fears transformed to your conscious awareness. You have 5 seconds to terminate this tape. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If you're saying too much, baby, go find less. If you can't keep up, stay below, I guess. If I'm such a big deal, maybe you're too little. Ooh, ooh, it's tough, too much.
What is up, guys? How's it going? I don't know what that was. StreamYard's got some new features, but thank you for joining us for another BG-Cast Wednesday Live podcast. If you're wondering what that was made by one of the most beautiful and talented women I know, Transcending Ascension, aka Dyanna, and that was the first ever BG-Cast commercial. Yes. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be being aired in different places. And I want to thank her. I really appreciate her for doing that because she'll be advertising it too. But nonetheless, guys, welcome back. Thanks for being here. I want to thank all of the new followers and subscribers on Rumble and YouTube for joining the BG-Cast family. And yeah, guys, it's been an interesting time. Actually, I was just chatting with my guest before we were hopping on, and it seems like a lot of us are being really tested right now, tested in a lot of ways. And some of us are going through some things too. And what I want to say, at least in regards to this, is right now the divine is testing us because on the other side of this door that we are going to walk through, there is our most joyful, happy, and abundant existence. And, you know, you guys have been hearing me talk on Church of True Christ lately about trading going for the great over the good. And sometimes when you go for the great over the good, you will be tested to make sure that you really want the great. So, but nonetheless, guys, let's talk about the New Earth Entertainment team. In fact, I have one of them as the guest tonight. So we're going to talk about his New Earth Entertainment as soon as I bring him on. But nonetheless, let's bring up the first one. So, guys, you just saw that she made that commercial, but I also want you to head over to Dyanna, aka Transcending Ascension site, and check out her kids' books. That's right, guys. If you are looking for spiritually enriching content to read your children, spiritually enriching stories that actually help them understand their true divine nature from a young, early age and the power that they have to create their existence and their world as they grow older, these are the books for you. And I know there's a lot of spiritual parents out there who are looking for things like this to read their kids that are actually positive and help reinforce the divine spark within their children and positive thoughts and a positive outlook on life. So we have A is for Ascension. And this is the ABCs of metaphysics for children and adults to enjoy. So that's right. You guys can read it together. And then we also have the Tiny Superhero. And that is actually, believe it or not, named after her son, Aiden. So yes, definitely, guys. If you are looking for spiritually enriching kids' books to read to your kids, whether just you guys are reading it at bedtime or you guys are just sitting there having a reading session yourselves, I highly recommend you go check out Transcending Ascension's kids books. I have the link in both the Rumble and the YouTube description. And also, guys, I have Divine Creation Gifts. That's right. Lynn is out of West Virginia. She has her own metaphysics shop. And remember, you guys also get free shipping on orders over $50. And this is a homegrown metaphysics shop, guys. This isn't like your big box spiritual stores. So this is support how we do it, guys. This is how we create New Earth. We support the people in our community. If we want to break away from the false matrix system, we have to start taking our dollars out of it and putting it towards those in our community to help build the New Earth Foundation. So if you guys are looking for some shirts, you guys are looking for some stuff from the apothecary and some herbs, you know, we also have ritual books and magic supplies, and we have crystals and jewelry, and just some photos of some of the stuff she has too. And look, she also reps me, BG Cast, Body, Mind, Spirit. And they also have a YouTube channel, Earthborn the Remembering, as well. So go ahead and give her a follow. But yeah, guys, remember, this is how I say, this is how we start New Earth. All right, we start supporting each other. Let me just give a shout out to everybody in the chat real quick before I bring my guest on. We have Dyanna, we have Dawn, we have my mom, and of course we have our guest whom I am about to bring on. Nonetheless, guys, let's get him on here. So you guys have seen me advertise him quite a bit, his comic, his movie. I got to say, man, ever since I met this guy, he has done nothing but soar. And I remember when I read the comic book for the first time on the Kindle, just how amazing it came out. The story behind it, how it was spiritually enriched and full of a positive spiritual outlook on life and empowering at the same time. You know, I was completely blown away. He sent me the first issue, which, like I said, I read it on Kindle, but like I leave the issue in like the plastic thing, because like it's like an awesome, like limited edition first comic, man. It's like, you know, when you got like the first edition of a comic when it ever came out. So I leave it in there. But of course, his movie has won multiple awards. Dear Lilith, I Love You. And I am calling him, I have dubbed him the front runner of New Earth Entertainment, because he's doing it, guys. Look at it. We got comics. We got a films, movies. We're talking about psyop-free and propaganda-free entertainment for New Earth. So nonetheless, man, I got to bring him on because he's been on the show before and it is his return. And that is why this episode is called The Lion of God Returns. So everybody, welcome to the stage, David. What is up, man?
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Hell yeah. And I meant all that, dude. Like, you've been doing some amazing things. Like you have definitely put a foot forward in providing, like I said, propaganda-free and psyop-free entertainment for New Earth, dude. And look at the fruit of your efforts, man. You've won awards. You've even been in a newspaper recently too. They were talking about how you were bringing spiritual archetypes back into comics, and that's something I definitely want to break down with you tonight too, because I do believe that these archetypes can help open these subconscious doorways in our mind to help us connect even further with our divine nature. But dude, let's get to the gist, man. What was the inspiration behind this all? I have got to know, dude. I know the character is based off you and your story. I know that, for sure, but let's dive into it a little.
Yeah, so that is the inspiration, but there's obviously a much more interesting story. And if I were to tell the whole story, it would take a very long time. That's why I'm writing a comic book series. But I can give you the Cliff's notes. So, of course, I've been on your show before, and I talked about how in 2021 I went to the hospital with COVID and pneumonia, and was faced with my mortality, and I didn't become unconscious or flatline or anything, but when I got out of the hospital, I did experience something quite like what most people describe as a near-death experience. And after that, yes, my life started to take a very strange turn. I had more visions, more encounters with the supernatural, with the divine, with spirit guides. So basically, during that near-death experience, one of the things that God said to me was that my soul was an angel. which oddly enough is something I had started to suspect a couple years sooner, but I never, it's just kind of, it's probably just some weird thing in my head. Oh, I'm an angel. Sure. No, people aren't angels. Well, actually people can be angels. Angels can be people. And how that all works is rather complicated. And I don't know if we want to get into the mechanics of it here, but if you would ever like to, I can talk about it. I've come to understand a lot of how this works.
We talk about star seeds and angel seeds here, quite a bit, and as of course, there's a lot of us in this community, and there are some very interesting mechanics behind it, and I guess you could say, in my opinion, and we'll get yours on this, is, and this is just based on a lot of experiences I've had myself. The human is the extraterrestrial / angel, and the extraterrestrial / angel is the human. And you want to come down here and you want to directly participate, you got to have a human emanation. If you don't want to directly participate, or if you don't want to do the human emanation, you can indirectly participate. But those are just my thoughts, man. Let's hear yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's at least partially true. I think, certainly that's the easiest way to do it. Like if I'm an alien from Arcturus and I want to be involved with Earth, one of the most direct way to do that is to incarnate as a human. And this is something that people don't necessarily understand about the universe, extraterrestrials. People always say, well, how are they going to cover the vast distances of space? And they do have physical craft. They do have spaceships. But the most advanced beings in the universe, in the galaxy, they don't travel around on spaceships. They project their consciousness. Most of them don't live in the same dimension that we do. So to get to 3D Earth, it's not a matter of distance as we know it. It's a matter of traversing through 9 dimensions, which is way harder actually than traveling billions of light years. But they do it, or they can do it. But to go back to the inspiration for my story. So I started to have these experiences where I was remembering that I had been an angel in a past life. So what God said to me during my NDE was that in a past life, I had been the Archangel Samael, who is the angel of judgment. He is, from many perspectives, he's the villain of the Old Testament. But again, that's the pieces of the Old Testament that we have that haven't been poorly translated over time. It's all a matter of perspective, okay? He's the angel that tempted Eve. He's the angel that tested Job. He's also the angel that slew Goliath, and the angel that saved Daniel from the lion's den. So it's not as simple as, oh, he's the bad guy. He's not the bad guy. He is the angel who tests men and women on behalf of God. And yes, sometimes who judges humanity on behalf of God. He's entrusted with the care of humanity. And but in that role, he did again, we're getting into linear time here, so obviously anyway, he did do some things that he wasn't necessarily proud of, happy with, and when he was done with that service, he wanted to forget. And God said to me, that's you are him, born without the memories of the things that he had done that he wanted to forget. Okay. I didn't know what to do with that, but so for the next several years, I continued to have many different, I guess, adventures. Strange things happen, encounters with different beings, but and all of this stuff is material for my book. So the first 6 issues of my book are about the summer of 2022, when I really began to start recovering some of my starseed angel memory. I didn't just have a vision where it's oh, you're an angel. No, I really started to remember, and different beings such as Lilith, Cyrene of Thessalia would come to me and be like, hey, I have a message for you. And so it was a crazy time. But during that time, I started learning about manifestation and the power of intention. And so for the Lion's Gate of 2022, I came up with a manifestation ritual for myself. I chose 6 statements to affirm for myself as true, and I wrote them out 33 times each on 9 sheets of paper. Long story short, I got God's attention again, and we had this conversation about my wife, because she wasn't doing so great at the time. She had taken the vaccine, and it was affecting her a lot and affecting us a lot. And so I had it out with God. I was like, it's not fair that this is happening to her, because she just took the vaccine because she thought it would help her. She didn't know that it was bad. Mm-hmm. And she deserves another chance. And the conversation was a lot more colorful than that. But the next night I received a confirmation that my prayer was heard. And for the first time, I saw a light come on in Sarah. And it was like, oh, there's hope. There is hope. And here we are now in 2025, right? And so it was a long road from even then to now. A lot of difficulty exercising those matrix demons.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah, so the book's going to be about that a lot too. But especially, okay, in the summer of 2024, this was right after you and I met, actually. That's where it really came to a head for me. And it was at the beginning of July. I had this experience where I ascended. I fully ascended. I experienced an ascension timeline. And I went to multiple different, I went to a 4th density Earth that was better than this one slightly, because it was like this timeline, but a little more magical and I don't know. But I also experienced what they call the phantom timeline, which is where the Draco reptilians are firmly in charge, and God doesn't even really seem to exist there. I mean, it's what it feels like when you're there. And I also experienced 3 different layers of hell, like Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno? I wasn't going around. Yeah. How did I dream this up? I didn't dream it up. This is crazy, right? And in one of these layers of hell, it's like I was there. I was sent there as an angel, to learn how to be God's devil and blend in and be an undercover agent almost. And then we staged a revolt, me and Saint Germain and we staged a revolt and we took over. All of this spanned billions of years. And I could even see where parts of what had happened during this experience intersected with events in my life, even events in my childhood. It's it was almost oh, that's just like that time when I was a kid and all those kids were beating me up or something. It was weird. So then after I escaped from hell with my family, which I definitely believe is what happened when I escaped from the Carolinas with my family, I started ascending into the higher realms. And I went to the 5th dimension and the 7th dimension and the 9th. And eventually I was with a bunch of other angel beings, and we were in the 9th dimension, and there was this fallen Arcturian there. And he was it was he believed that he was the highest conscious intelligence that existed, and therefore he was God. and he was responsible for a lot of the negativity that had been going on Earth recently, and we killed him. But then after we killed him, like that whole ascension timeline that I was on started to unravel, and then it was like I was back here. And once I was back here, like some really weird things started to happen. There were people who were clearly like possessed by demonic entities that harassed me, like people that I knew that suddenly became very demonic. Of course, the stuff with my wife and her family, that's when that happened.
I remember, yeah.
And as that was going on, right, I was here in this apartment by myself, and I started receiving even more messages from my spirit guides and my friends in the Galactic Federation and everyone else. And they're like, okay, here's exactly what you need to do. Here's the I am discourses. Embody this and you'll get through it. And I did. And so that's the inspiration for my book. I have pretty amazing material from that experience on the other side. Like, I went on so many adventures, most of which I've forgotten, but they do occasionally come back to me. And besides that, all the research that I've done on Samael's role in the Bible. I mean, I listed 4 things that he did as an angel. I have so much material for books and movies. It's crazy. And so I'll tell you one more thing we found recently that was super interesting. When I did that manifestation ritual in 2022, the first time, the first statement that I wrote for myself was, I am the Archangel Samael, first among archangels. Why did I choose to write that? I don't know, because I felt compelled to. But as I was writing that, I took a break after a while, and I started doing I was just surfing around on the web, and I just happened to stumble upon this man by the name of Samael Aoun Vior, who I'd never heard of before. And it was crazy because I started reading about him, and he's like this really big Gnostic prophet and author from Latin America. Most Americans would have never heard of him. But if you live in Mexico or South America, maybe. And as I started reading about him, I started realizing that this was me in a past life. This was my past life. And it was like returning to me. And that statement that I wrote, I am the Archangel Samael, first among archangels, I calculated the Hebrew gematria for it, which is 1133. And that's how that 1133 became my angel number. Well, so just this past summer, I decided to do a little numerology work with that. And I looked up in the Bible for a verse that's like chapter 11, verse 33, because I thought it might be interesting. And I only found one, which is Hebrews, Hebrew gematria, Hebrews 11:33, who by faith conquered kingdoms, performed deeds of righteousness, obtained promises, shut the mouth of lions. And so it's talking about the heroes of the Hebrew heroes of the Old Testament, okay, such as David, Samuel, Daniel, etc. Right? That's who that verse is referring to specifically, but also the angel Samael, and so it was cool because that last phrase, who shut the mouths of lions. And as I read that, Sarah was like, "Hey, doesn't it actually say in that passage in Daniel that it was an angel who shut the mouths of the lions?" And I looked it up, and sure enough, it does. It literally says that. My God sent his angel to shut the mouths of the lions. I mean, what is that? that is pretty crazy stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway,
No, dude, I was gonna say, man, like, no, like I have a few things I want to talk to you about what you just said, man. So that I wrote some things down. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is Samael's role, right? You know, when the thing that a lot of people in our community still do is they still try to compartmentalize these concepts, especially these esoteric and metaphysical concepts, into these two boxes: absolute good or absolute evil. And, you know, both you and I know that ultimately both sides of the polarity spectrum actually service creation. You know, there are many instances of you know, angels doing not so great things in the past, if we're looking at a lot of these books. And there's actually instances of demons doing not so evil things in a lot of these instances as well. So that's where, like, you know, a lot of that's the spiritual growth I feel that needs to occur in our community. And of course, like, you know, we always want to sway in the polarity of the light. Absolutely, we do. And because we want to, that's ultimately where the divine is. And I mean, but that doesn't mean we can't acknowledge and understand the purpose of the other side of the polarity. Because look, man, you went through darkness and it pushed you through the light, did it not? And this is the case. This is the case for a lot of us who are on our spiritual evolution. We had to go through some supreme darkness in our lives, man. You know, like you were saying, you went to the three layers of hell in that experience, man. What I saw was that was a higher dimensional symbolic representation of the hell that you had walked out of, and that you have risen out of, you know, in your spiritual evolution, man. So, like, yeah, no, that's the thing about it. Like, I've heard people, you know, when especially before, who get turned off when they hear things like that. But really what it is it takes a deeper understanding of these esoteric and spiritual concepts to know that it all has a purpose. It all utilizes us. It all helps drive us and this creation, this divine creation that we're a part of. I wanted to throw that in there real quick. Also, too, man, you talked about the demonic behavior from people. You know, so in the beginning, like I was saying, you know, I was talking about how the angel, the human is the ET/angel, and the AT/angel is the human. But that is also the case for demons. Okay, like if a person wants to buy into this false matrix reality, they want to buy into the darkness that's here, they want to live it, they want to breathe it, they are opening themselves up as a channel for that dark side of the polarity. And especially someone like you, man, who is who's bettering themselves, who's trying to better this world that we're in, and, you know, trying to give people like spiritually enriched content, trying to help heal people here on this planet. You're shining a light in the world, man, you know. And then also, too, remember, when we shine a light in this world, all right, we attract things. So ultimately, it's probably the Smith effect too, man, honestly, because look at what you're doing. Like, it's like it was probably people saw you creating something good and leaving something here that is a legacy, and it triggered them too, and it had them channel those demons.
Yeah, well, what it was at that time was when I ascended like that, there was a lot of things going on at that time, like with me. You know, I was contacted by a blue avian directly. Like she messaged me on Facebook, and then she telepathically contacted me that night, and then the next day she called me and we talked about it. Like, what the? I never thought something like that even could happen. but it did, and all that was around the same time. And that's also when I started receiving direct messages from the Galactic Federation on my YouTube algorithm. I mean, you know, it was a crazy time. And but one thing that I was told and observed is that if you shine too brightly, you mentioned that if you shine a light, you attract things. If you shine too brightly as like your divine self, the thing that we've been trying to cover up all these years since we've been here, well, there's a reason for it. Because if you show yourself too much, the dark forces, whatever you want to call them, the ones that are opposed to us, they can see it. and they'll come for you. And by the way, Samael Aun Weor talked about that also. And unfortunately, he told me about it after I learned the hard way. But in his book, 26 Techniques for Astral Projection, he says quite clearly, don't talk about the things that you see when you're astral traveling. Don't talk about them to anyone because most people aren't going to believe you. And the ones that do probably are going to be bad. And they're going to talk to their dark friends and they're going to come for you. Just don't talk about it. So then, and of course, Thoth says the same thing. The lips of wisdom are sealed except to the lips of the ears of understanding. These are things that people on our path should be taught. Keep it close to the chest. Unfortunately, I didn't practice that until recently.
So I have a question from a viewer on that because I have something that I'd like to even add to that too. So he said, is he aware of the manipulation of beings / ETs and how they pretend to be something that they are not? And you just kind of said it, man. There are a lot of things here that are posing as human beings that are not human beings.
Absolutely. Well, you and I are two of them, right? I mean, but we are human. We're not human, and we are. And that the same goes probably for, well, I don't know. There's definitely some people out there that probably ain't people at all, but I don't know what I do.
I would agree, man. I think, whether or not we want to bring the NPC thing into the equation or not, but I mean, there are some people out there who are not people at all. And I mean, I've had my own experiences that have showed me there's a lot of things posing around here walking as human that are not. But then also, man, you have the people I think that are, and you'd probably agree with me on this. So and let me run this by you. I feel when somebody buys into this false matrix system completely, they get their two-party hat on, they're engaged in the viral, the polarizing, the psyops, they partake heavily in the bread and circuses of this false matrix reality. I believe they open themselves up to channeling these dark egregoric entities that are kind of roaming around at this point in time. And that's something, I mean, you can even see in the behavior when it comes to recent events, man. We're of course, as you as well as I know, that we are undergoing something that is very spiritual and that is very metaphysical, and we understand what consciousness is. And I feel that if you are buying into what is going on at this point in time, like I said, you're wearing a red or a blue hat, you're imbibing in the psyops, the propaganda, believing it, buying into it fully, you are then opening yourselves up to channel these dark energies.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Well, so most people walk around completely unconscious, right? So most people never reach more than, say, according to Samael Aun Weor, most people never reach more than 3% consciousness. And so that 97% of you that's unconscious, or of, not of you, but of many people, is certainly subject to be controlled or manipulated by anyone who decides that they can and will, pretty much. And yeah, this can be, programming from mass marketing. I mean, so from 2021, from 2021 to about the end of 2023, I spent a lot of time studying MK Ultra programming, like firsthand, because I was trying to deprogram myself and my wife. And so I learned a lot about how it works. And, basically all through our lives, we kind of just become conditioned to surrender the conscious functioning of our awareness to automatic responses, right? Somebody smacked you when you were a child, so now you're afraid of being smacked. So now, anytime somebody acts like they're going to hit you, instead of responding instead of responding to it, you react to it, and that reaction a lot of times happens before you can even think to stop it. I still have a problem with reacting, and we all do, right? But in these people who are like highly unconscious, highly programmed, right, that gets kicked up several notches. So imagine you're somebody who's, say, you're going to a fire and brimstone church every Sunday, and the preacher's like, threatening what's going to happen to you if you're not back in church, or if just for example, so now I'm living in constant existential dread for my soul. What's going to happen if God is displeased? So then that's another layer of fear. And then there's economic turmoil that's been going on for the last, 5-6 years, right? Ever since the pandemic. That creates fear. There's constant fear of war and upheaval. It's the perfect tinderbox for creating a bunch of afraid, easily manipulated people. And yes, when you are afraid, you are vulnerable to be controlled.
Oh, 100%, man. I actually kind of want to talk about a couple of things you said there too. So, surrendering the cognitive function of our awareness.
Yeah. I'm going to speak to Cosmic Voice 33.
Go ahead.
I've been at this for a while. I know what I'm doing. And I understand fears of the Galactic Federation, but I don't fear anything, for one thing. And what some people think is the Galactic Federation is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about something else. So, anyway.
No worries, man. So what I was talking about, so surrendering the cognitive function of awareness. No, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of that starts, at birth, and I know I talk about this on the show a lot, but, it always bears repetition because it's exactly what happens is, from the day we enter this world and we put on the meta set of this physical reality, aka we jump into our human emanations, we start our lives, we are conditioned to always constantly to look outside of ourselves. That's where I feel that really starts to kick in, because you're always told to look outside of yourself for validation, the answers to the bigger questions in life, love, and all of these very big, important things. And what that does is it destroys the internal connection, and I think that's where the beginning of the surrendering of the cognitive function of awareness even starts to begin in this existence. Is when at birth almost, and when in our growing phases, because we're constantly told to look outside of ourselves, and then, kind of touching on what you were saying too about the fear. It is the fear even plays into that too, because as soon as you enter this world, you're taught to be afraid. You're taught to be afraid of everything, have fear. And, of course, people are going to call it being realistic, or people are going to call it being logical, but you can be realistic or logical, without having fear, so this is where I think it begins,
Yeah. Well, and fear, like anything, has its place, right? Like fear allows us to identify danger. Which it's good. It's good to not want to fall off that cliff, right?
Absolutely.
So some fear is good, but we can't let that fear be what controls us and motivates us. Fear should just be something that helps us identify what we should be doing right now, or what we should be aware of.
Absolutely. No, there is a purpose for it. It's when people allow themselves to be overconsumed by it, and they relinquish their power. That's where it starts to become bad. That's where it starts to become negative. And no, I completely agree with you, man. And this is the thing we're kind of on the precipice of right now, because at least in my eyes, I feel like we've entered this very strange, unknown, and uncharted territory, at least for this batch of humanity. You know, we're entering a new layer of this whole world stage at this point in time, man. And you know.
Well, I mean, so the fall of Atlantis, I mean, we are coming around to the other side of that cycle, which started, I guess, 12,000 years ago or something, where there was something that happened in Atlantis where they lost their connection with the divine, and it was the fall of civilization, and they did something. I don't know the whole story, okay? I've only received bits and pieces of this recently, but there's something happening now, which is like the closing of that loop that was started way back then. And we are going to ascend to like past whatever it was that was troubling Atlantis. That's what I'm told.
I think, you know, even let's spitball this for a sec, because, you know, why not? I mean, I feel what happened back then is there was an infiltration of sorts by what we would call the negative reptilians. And of course, what they ended up doing was, you know, how I joked about it one time in our group chat. I said they try to blend in with the good vibes, and they try to act like, you know, they try to act like they're part of everything that's going on, and that's how they slip in. That's how they get in. And then what ended up happening is because we had that sleight of hand, a lot of people started buying into their narrative. They started buying into the materialistic, war-driven narrative, because even if you look at like some of the bits and pieces of what is left of Atlantis in what you would call consensual history at this point in time, they talk about Atlantis being a very warlike race. And, you know, based on what we know and what we've experienced through our remembering, you know, we know Atlantis was a age of enlightenment. It is when we were very much so connected to the divine at a deeper level, at least in the collective sense, as opposed to, Yeah,
my sense is that warlike era of Atlantis started after they had already started to decline. Absolutely. So what I was told was that the Atlanteans had some kind of secret consciousness technology or whatever that they referred to as the sacred fire of Atlantis. And of course, Earth wasn't part of the galactic civilization back then. Actually, we still are. But the Arcturians, I guess they safeguarded this Atlantean fire secret until humanity was supposed to be ready for it again someday, and now all of that is coming back. So it is a very interesting time, and you know, there are pockets of Atlantis that still exist in the subterranean civilizations. Telos is an example. Of course, Telos is a Lemurian city, but there's also Atlantean stuff there, I'm told.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing too. Like, I think personally, and this is what I think, is I do think Atlantis could potentially still, I don't think maybe Atlantis is just still here, but potentially in a frequency of frequency of consciousness that the collective has not gotten there yet. We're starting to have these experiences too. And then even, you know, you look at the Tartaria thing that's coming up. You know, it's like, and trust me, when I had Nick on last week, dude, he blew my mind with some of the evidence that he has found for Tartaria. And that even that even brings the bigger question: could Tartaria have been the remnants of Atlantis that did not fall prey to this negative agenda that came through? I mean, is it possible that there could be some kind of correlation there? I don't know. I'm picking your brain. I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, my sense is that, the remnants of Atlantis are what went on to become Egypt or Kemet. Thoth is said to have been an Atlantean. So is it, or maybe some of that came from some of Tartaria came from there also. I don't know, but I don't know where Tartaria came from, but it sure seems like a lot of the Victorian age stuff that we are shown, may actually be photos of Tartaria.
I would completely agree, and even what did Cosmic say here? He said it's all still happening out now, all in different frequencies, and no, I mean it's interesting, man, because it's like as we keep going forward, I'm at the point where I've almost done away with a lot of consensual history at this point too, because I mean you see some of the stuff that's starting to arise. I mean, even on the show with Nick last week. He found that there was it was either 750 to 800 years where all of these civilizations occurred on the same archaeological strata. And that means that, you've seen it with the megaliths before too, man. Like, how all of the megaliths are built on top of other megaliths. I mean, you look at even like Gobekli Tepe and things like that. That was actually built on top of something else. But there's this period in history where you have all of these civilizations that occurred like seemingly at the same time. So it's interesting what's starting to emerge as far as that goes. But no, man, I'm with you. I mean, we're in this age where I think all of this is going to start coming out more and more and more, especially that kind of, what I saw was evidence for some kind of reset that occurred, because at the end of this archaeological period, there was a huge cataclysm, and that's why even Dyanna chimes in and says, the past isn't concrete either. But no, man, I think we're in for some really good treats coming up here in the next few years, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting time for sure. I call it the weirdest and best timeline, actually, because way back in 2021, 22, when I started having visions of what things would be like, and when there were aliens and sci-fi and all that stuff, and a lot of that stuff has turned out to be true, and a lot of the things that I saw that were going to happen, we're not there yet, but it's like things that would need to happen for those things to be true have happened. So I started calling it the weirdest and best timeline.
I would completely agree, man. And it looks like too, we're getting like these splices from other timelines too. I think I posted this. Sure. I know I think I posted this in the group chat. I don't know if you saw this, but this came out, and of course, both you and I, we've done our research on human history, and the fact that this came out, I had never heard of this, and I had, as far as like the human history thing, I've been pretty far down that rabbit hole, or at least I thought. But I saw this thing recently in the past few months that in the 70s they found this, what they would call this advanced sarcophagus in one of these mines. And based on where they found this sarcophagus, it would insinuate that it was 80 million years old. And in this sarcophagus, it was a 12-foot long, or like it was a 12 to 15-foot long sarcophagus. And when they opened it, they found a human woman in there. But this human woman did not look like today's humans. She was very tall. She was around 10 feet tall. She had very, very pale white skin. very, very pale white skin. They said it was so pale, like they said it was almost of the angels, is what they said. And she had this very golden long hair and all that, and she was submerged in this liquid in the sarcophagus, and next to her is something that resembled a modern day cell phone. So this is, and of course, you know, the Siberian or the Russian military came in, kicked everybody out, confiscated the evidence, and it got lost. And of course, they had a mainstream story that was put out on it. They said that it was only 3,000 years old or something along those lines. It wasn't, you know, the 80 million from where they actually found it under the ground. But I think this is like an example of that, man. I think we're entering these higher timelines at this point, or the higher versions of this current timeline. And we're going to see like these weird little, what I would call Easter eggs, almost in a lot of ways, start to like showcase themselves and pop up.
Yeah, I think so. That's fascinating.
Let me see if I can look up the name of it real quick. Hold on, keep going. What were you saying?
Okay. Well, I mean, I do think I've heard this story before about the cell phone like device. I hadn't heard about the sarcophagus with it, or that it was so old. But I did hear that, you know, you've heard of what was the guy? The guy from Area 51, who's like the scientist who he's like a nuclear physicist, and he said that he helped reverse engineer some craft, but he said when he was there at he was at Area 6 or Area S1, but it was close to Area 51, and he said that they had 6 craft at the time. Yes, Bob Lazar. He said they had 6 craft, and at least one of them had been recovered from an archaeological dig.
Uh-huh. There's a lot of things that are starting to come out at this point in time, man. But the number one thing I see, at least from the Bob Lazar end of things, man, he was interesting. That's all I can really say. That's all I can really say about that. He was interesting. But no, man, I think we're going to start getting a lot of these, what I would call meta Easter eggs that are going to start showing up. And, you know, for us, it's amazing because we're going to be seeing this all come to fruition. We're like, oh yeah, this is what we've been thinking all along. And, you know, but it's very interesting to see this timeline split that's occurring right now as well. And I think the timeline has already split. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I do think we're going to have a great amount of the population. They're going to choose what I would call the old Earth timeline while we're hopping on this new Earth timeline. And as we continue to move forward on this new Earth timeline, we're going to start to see more of this stuff occur as we continue to grow and as we continue to evolve.
Yeah. And I have my suspicion, since we already went here a little bit, I have my suspicion that's probably what happened in the past with Atlantis and Lemuria is, you know, we see it as a cataclysm because the survivors, the people who ascended, aren't here anymore. The only ones left are the ones who didn't make it. So, and that may be similar to what happens going forward too. I don't know.
Do you think we could possibly get reset? I know that there's that's been a huge thing that goes around in our community. They think there's some kind of they think that there's some kind of global reset that could occur. I think we're past that this time, but that was
definitely on the books on the dark timeline. That was definitely on the agenda for sure. But let's just go ahead and affirm it. That's been averted. We changed that. We changed that timeline. In fact, that timeline changed in 2012. And this is just the insight that I'm receiving on it right now as I'm talking about it. That timeline changed in 2012. The world as we knew it ended in 2012, just like the Mayans predicted. And we're we're on God's timeline ever since then. And this is my absolute theory on the whole thing. The world as we knew it ended in 2012, and ever since then, we have been basically in like purgatory while humanity gets its problems sorted out so that we can move on to better things. It's almost like, the Earth was rescued from or ended from wherever we were, but we're so effed up that we have to be in like quarantine for decades or however long it takes for humanity to be rehabilitated and healed from all this trauma so that we can actually enter into the kingdom of heaven, if you will.
Absolutely, man. No, and that's why I always use the video game analogy for 2012, man. I've always used it because it just fits, in 2012, it was like an expansion pack was downloaded onto our reality. I mean, call it the and yeah, even Lee calls it the big timeout. The big timeout. So, but no, I joke that an expansion pack was downloaded onto this reality in 2012, and that what that expansion pack was, human ascension, human ascension test run, human ascension timeout, as Lee was saying, or whatever. I mean, there's even people who think that the Earth was destroyed and we're currently in a simulation of planet Earth, finishing out our existence while the Earth actually gets repaired in the process. So eventually when we do come to a collective understanding and a collective higher consciousness, that we can move back there. I mean, there's many different things.
I think that because we live in this reality is multidimensional, and I think that it's possible that all of those things are true from a certain perspective.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, because I've definitely, I have seen that too. I've seen the Earth, or what we call the Earth, as almost like this prison colony. And Earth as we knew it doesn't even exist. And we're just like on some kind of a loose farm for really bad entities. And there is a dimension, I guess, where that's true, but that's not the whole truth.
Absolutely.
As the Emerald Tablets and the Kabbalion say, every lie contains a truth, and every truth conceals a lie.
No, and I completely agree with you, man. You and I are on the same page with that all the time. It is the Earth. It's very multidimensional. What's going on here? And I'm even going to bring up something Bill said here. Remember that the parallel Earth merge we spoke about last time, Stephen. Things from that Earth can manifest here. So so basically what we were talking about last time was how there's a particle Earth and there's a non-particle Earth, and every 1,000 years, the particle Earth and the non-particle Earth actually come together, and sometimes things from that version of Earth can potentially manifest here. So, but no, that was just something we were talking about last time. I wanted to throw that out there, but no, I agree with you, man. It's very multidimensional, and I mean, even talking about the prison planet thing. That's just one side of it. I mean, is it going on? Yes, but that doesn't mean you have to subject yourself to it. That means to escape that is as simple as evolving, and right. becoming a personally sovereign human being with discernment and understanding the playing field that we're currently on. And that means not falling for the world stage, and everything else that's happening on it as well, man, especially now because here in the States, the government's still shut down.
Oh, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, they can stay shut down. Some people probably wouldn't like that, I guess. But you just go away, government. Please. We don't need you anymore.
Well, that's what I think, because everything's symbolic here, right? I mean, everything is symbolic. Maybe this longer shutdown is like symbolism for what's to come. Because
I really think it is. There are much larger dynamics at play here than what we see on the news. Like, what we see on the news is a scripted performance. It is tailored to present a certain worldview to certain people. And if you go to another news network or another part of the world or somewhere else and get your news from somewhere else, they may tell you a completely different story about the same set of events, right? We know, we know they do this. But where was I going with that? I don't know. I lost where I was going with that.
You're all good, man. You're all good. But ultimately, that's why I'm a huge. I do think the symbolism of what we're seeing at this point in time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, I joke and I call them the Easter eggs, because that's essentially what they are, in my opinion. It's like these meta Easter eggs that we experience. It's almost like the divine, like, showing us in some kind of language that that this is what you can expect as we continue to grow and we evolve. And ultimately too, I was going to ask you, man, because I know there's a few people, I know you have a unique opinion on 3i Atlas, so I definitely like to get your opinion on that. I know there's people in the chat, guys. I already know what you all in the chat think. It says David's time to shine here. Okay, so we're gonna get David's opinion on it. So what did you think, man? I know you were talking about, you think it is a Lyran ship with light codes.
Yeah. So I have several other starseed friends, if you will, and not that you guys aren't my starseed friends, but I have other starseed friends. I have people who like are really, really into the starseed thing, like, and so several of them have connected with 3i Atlas, and these are the people who I go to for answers when I have questions, right? So and most of them are saying the same thing about it. And then Lily Nova, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's got a pretty big channel, and she spends a lot of time over at Mount Shasta, which is very much aligned with my path, because I work with the Ascended Masters a lot, and I've received a lot of teachings that came from Mount Shasta. And so, and also she's actually one of the first ones that clued me in to starseeds and ET contact, because I saw her video like way back in 2021 or something. And, but yeah, so she's mentioned, something about, connecting to 3i Atlas, but, so most of these people have said that they have seen it as a non-physical, or a vessel carrying non-physical beings. They are higher dimensional. One person said they are 6th dimensional. That sounds about right to me. It's not necessarily a Lyran craft per se, though it does carry Lyran consciousness codes. What I've been told and what I've put together from all the different sources, so there's people saying all kinds of things. Some people are saying it's a draconian ship. I think that's fear-mongering. The draconians don't have any power. The draconians are done. And if you don't believe that, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They might still be around. They might still be able to create some havoc here on Earth, but their power is over in this part of space. And besides that, what would sending all those troops here even do? I mean, what? So what? What are they going to do? No, that doesn't make any sense at all.
So there was someone in my chat on a earlier show when this first came up. Actually, it was during my Subtle Body show, because everybody in the chat was talking about it. And they said the same thing. They said it had like 5 million reptilians in stasis, and it was on the way here. And I was like, dude, if that's the truth, we need to shoot that shit out of the sky right now. We don't need any more of it.
That is the biggest fear porn. No, that's not what it is. I mean, not in my opinion anyway. So I actually did astral project and connect to 3i Atlas. And honestly, it was very brief, because I couldn't stand it for very long. It was intense. So I during my meditation time, I connected to 3i Atlas, and what I could see was almost like this endless, say I was like in this huge endless chamber, and there were these gold crystalline diamond lights everywhere, and they were just looking back at me. They were alive and conscious, and they were like, oh, hi. I mean, they didn't say that, but that was the energy. Like they noticed me, that I was there, and I noticed them, and I could feel the intensity. And it was, I mean, it didn't feel negative. It didn't feel bad. So what I have seen is that these are consciousness codes that come from the same primordial soup, you will, that the universe was created from. It's actually older than the earth, and different star lineages have added their contribution to this craft, whatever you want to call it, over the eons. And it's basically, its purpose is to elevate the earth with higher vibrational energies, and it's doing it. It's been doing it.
I would, man, I'm going to tell you this. You and I were talking about this before the show on how things have been accelerating for us all lately, and I think, at this point, for a lot of us who are on our spiritual evolution, a lot of us who are evolving and growing even at a faster rate at this point in time, it seems like we are being put almost through these trials and these tribulations. It would seem like, the divine is testing us, we're getting these tests at this point in time to, as I've always said on this show here, I think 2020 was a huge beginning of the separation of the wheat from the chaff, right?
It's definitely started for me.
Yeah. It was a huge separation of the wheat from the chaff. And then we've had these many other separation events too, at least on the collective scale. I mean, you look at the whole thing that happened with Charlie Kirk as of recently, just a couple of months ago. Whether it was fake and gay or real and hetero, whether or not, whatever that was, it's
somewhere in between, unfortunately. I mean, I really think the man was killed, and that people saw it on TV. Now, whether or not, there's definitely games being played with it, and multiple interested parties who are probably not good, trying to use that event to their advantage. That's clear. And aside from that, I pretty much distanced myself from it, decided not to get any emotional attachment, and just kind of like, but yeah, that's bad.
No, of course, man. No, and all I did too is like, because I'm at a point where it's like, I just was trying to guide everybody's anger into the right place. That's all I was. I'm like, do not be mad at your neighbor. Do not hate your neighbor. Be mad at the ones who have pretty much started the division in this country. The U.S. government, the media outlets, the intelligence agencies. I'm like, you want to be mad at somebody? Don't be mad at your next door neighbor because they think differently than you. You know what I mean? Be mad at the people who are perpetuating the division in this society. And that's all I did. I think, but I'll digress to what I was saying, though. There's separations of the wheat from the chaff going on. And then that's even happening with us, those who are on their spiritual evolution. And I do think that the divine is putting us through our own tests at this point in time, getting us ready for what waits ahead. And ultimately, I think the accelerations from whether it's 3i Atlas or, a lot of the other things that are happening at this point in time, I think this is kind of a make or break moment for a lot of us.
Yeah. It sure feels like it. I mean, it feels like we're building to some kind of a crisis point for sure.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. But no, I just wanted to throw that in there because this is something that, a lot of people have been experiencing. And, the biggest thing I just want to throw out there to everybody real quick is just stay strong, guys. All right, just stay strong. Things are we knew we'd be riding these waves, man. We knew we'd be riding these waves, and we knew that as things accelerate and as things get higher in frequency, and as we burst into the new layers that are kind of presenting themselves to us, those are going to come with a shedding of the old, and as we shed the old, sometimes we have to go through that alchemical transmutation process that prepares us for the new. So, but no, we have a comment from Stone Hobbit real quick. When we discover we have wings, don't freak out when your wings aren't what you expect.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So, but let's start. I wanted to ask you about this, man. So let's talk about Dear Lilith, I Love You.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. It was fantastic, man. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Good work, man. Good work.
It's currently screening in the Seoul Independent Short Film Festival right now.
Absolutely. So have you gotten any feedback on it? I mean, did you get any feedback on it from the film festival or?
Well, the Seoul Film Festival, they're supposed to be writing a full press review of it. I paid for that. So it better be good because they charged me quite a bit for that review. But yeah, so they're actually writing a review on it. So I should get some good feedback. But I have the lady who's running it. I have had a couple email exchanges with her, and she seems real nice. Actually, all the people I've dealt with from these film festivals have been super nice, super easy to deal with. Really, this has been quite amazing because I'm used to the big tech world where, no one will talk to you unless you went to like the right schools and know the right people and stuff. But this, it's like, oh, you made a film. Is it good or isn't it? If it's good, it wins an award. If it's not, it doesn't. so what else can you say? And so yeah, I've been winning several awards so far. I won Best Director at the New York Tri-State International Film Festival. I won Best Visual Effects and Award of Merit at Global Shorts Los Angeles, which is a pretty big one. And then last week I won 3 awards of recognition for AI film, experimental film, and women theme at Indie Fest, which is another big one. And then now I'm up at Seoul International Film Festival. I think I'll probably at least win something there. And then I've got a couple more later this month.
Dude, I want to say how impressed I am, man. Like that's amazing. That's amazing, dude.
Thank you.
And I'm absolutely happy for you because I even remember in the days when we were talking in the group chat on how you were like, I want to start this comic, like, I want to start this project. And I remember you sent us like some of the first few frames, and I was just like, oh my goodness, dude. And like, you even inspired me, and like, look at where it's turned out to at this point in time, man. Like now you're winning awards at film festivals. Like you are the only one in this community that I know as of this point in time that has been winning awards at film festivals, dude. Like, so I got to say, out of this world.
Well, let's get some more then. Let's get some more people.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And I actually kind of want to touch also real quick on what what they said in that newspaper article about you, how you were bringing um, spiritual archetypes into comics. I remember that news article. And one of the things that you're doing, though, like, and I think, so I've called this term, I've kind of coined it myself, I call them archetypal doorways, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of us have experienced this throughout our lives, on multiple levels. Like a good example, some people are into Harry Potter, right? So like, on the Harry Potter, a lot of people in our community are into Harry Potter, and that was kind of like a archetypal doorway for them to bring them to the magic of the divine and the magic of this world. And, kind of like me, me growing up, like I was all into my superheroes. I was into my, especially a lot of the superhero. One of my favorite superheroes was based directly off Hanuman, which is actually funny enough. And, led me, Son Goku, he was based off Sun Wukong from Journey to the West, and then Sun Wukong is based off of Hanuman. So like it's all kind of ties in, but there are like these archetypal doorways that have like led us to this greater path, this greater evolution that we are currently going on. Oh, yeah. And kind of what you have done is you've taken these archetypal concepts that have all kind of led us to where we are in our evolution, and you've implanted them into one series, dude. And that is going to, and that's going to open up what I would say is even more people's minds, even more people's consciousness, because you're bringing this back to entertainment. You're bringing this back to a comic book, and everybody who reads this comic, man, especially myself, I felt the energy within me. Like,
I'm really glad to hear that. I am really glad to hear that. I wish I wish a few more people would read it, but I am really glad to hear that. And my goal for this comic is for people to read that and I think that it's a cool story, but also think I've felt like that before. Like maybe this could be like my story too. And that's the goal that I have, is to show people that they can engender their own main character energy. They can be the main character of their story.
Absolutely, man. And that's one thing I really love what you say, dude, is you talk about we need more main character energy, in this community and in this collective, because nobody, and that's the big thing, I've talked about this on the show for like the past 3 seasons, and crap, we're getting ready for season 4, and I'm probably still going to talk about it on season 4 too, because a lot of this stuff bears repetition. We all are the heroes of our own story. We are. We all have the capability to be, and that's what this comic shows. And that's why I love it, because it is. You became the hero of your own story, dude. You became the hero of your own fucking story. And that's what we need to do, man. It's we stop waiting around to be saved. Number one. Stop waiting around for that, because you're going to be waiting there. You're going to be waiting there till you die to be saved, And it's like, and that's exactly what you planted, man. And I just want to tell you, man, how proud I am of you, dude, for getting as far as you've gotten, man. I really am.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, guys, so I'm going to bring up David's site real quick. We're going to do a live promo, because I usually promo David in the beginning, but we're going to do a live promo right now. So guys, I'm going to bring up David's link tree, and David's link tree is located in both the Rumble and the YouTube descriptions of the video. And I'm going to show you this comic real quick. Let's bring it up, man. Because like I said, like I read it on the Kindle, but I don't want to open the comic, dude, because like, what if your series gets known, man? I have the limited first edition with your signature on it. I have the limited first edition with your signature on it, man. Dude, I mean, I would love that, man. I would love that. But guys, this is David's link tree, man. This is actually the cover of his the first issue of his comic book too. And of course, like here, you can find the Dear Lilith, I Love You if you would like to watch this. And also, David does a lot of short form content too. So I would highly recommend you go follow David's channel as well. And you show him some support because, guys, like I'm saying here, man, this guy is the pioneer for New Earth entertainment. He has taken it to the next level. He is making psyop free and propaganda free entertainment for all ages. Like what else could we ask for at this point, man?
I will also add, I just got to plug this. So I have to. I also have my shop on there. So on my shop, which is it's like the second tab on my link tree, but also it's just venomouspress.com. That's where you can buy signed copies of my book. I have you can get a PDF of my book for free if you use checkout code Awaken144. You can get my PDF for free. And I have digital prints. I have apparel. I have drinkware. I'm doing the whole Spaceballs thing. So, yes.
Well, bro, you know your Schwartz is much bigger than ours right now. Your Schwartz is much bigger than ours right now because dude, look at what you're doing, man. So like this is amazing though. Like yeah, guys. So if you guys want any of the apparel, any of the merch, any of this, I'm just telling you, read the comic. All right, read the comic. You guys will be very, very just like, whoa, dude, it's a powerful story. And it is. And that's what you did, David, is you channeled that energy, the main character energy, the being your own hero energy into a book that can resonate with anybody who reads it, ultimately, man. And I can tell you that firsthand. And plus, like, man, I loved how the main character, he looks, I know it's based off you, dude, but you did a real good job of like putting a very identical version of you in there as well, man, because
Thank you. Yeah,
it looks like
it was a little bit weird to me doing that, but I was like, well, if I'm going to make it authentic, because my goal for the book long term is, it is going to be a series. And I want it to be a very interactive experience for my readers where it's like, there's almost this meta element to the book where events in the book are happening in real life. So, I'll be writing the book and also talking about what's happening in real life, and the readers will get to experience that too. If any of that makes sense, it should be interesting once we really get the ball rolling.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, my friend, I want to thank you for coming back on the show again. Thanks for having this spitball conversation with me. It was fun. It was just good to hang out with you.
Always happy to do it, Steven.
Yeah, man. It's good to hang out with you again. And I just want to tell you, man, like you guys are doing good, man. And like in the fact that you and Sarah have become a very spiritually sound family, and you guys are all both doing great things. And I just want to say how happy I am for you guys. I really am.
Thank you so much. I honestly, it's a dream come true for me, and she is the proof to me that all of this is real, because
absolutely
just to see the change in her and basically, monetarily, I may not have ever received everything that I wanted yet, but everything that I prayed for years, as far as she's concerned, I received it, and on a platter. So, what is that if not a miracle? That's one of the greatest miracles I've ever witnessed in my life. So yeah, I'm very grateful for where we are.
And especially, knowing the history of your situation, I'm happy for you guys too, man. I am. I really am. Alrighty, guys. Well, thanks for joining us for another BG Cast Wednesday Live podcast. So next week, I will be airing a pre-recorded episode that I recorded back a month ago. I have a lot of stuff going on, so I need to take a Wednesday off, but that doesn't mean that BG Cast is taking a night off. So yeah, I actually have an episode with Karen Holton that I did back in October that I will be airing and talking about how to implant more no into our collective consciousness. And what do I mean by implanting more no? This is how we resist, guys. We begin to say no, but we say no with our actions. And no, that doesn't mean running down to your local state capitol with pitchforks, torches, and Molotov cocktails. That's not what we say being no is. But saying no is not partaking in this anymore, and starting to support people like David, starting to support people like Dyanna, starting to support people like Lynn, and putting our dollars towards New Earth as opposed to putting our dollars into this false matrix system. Because the more we start to cultivate New Earth, the more this system's going to fade away. So David, again, for David, his link tree with his X, with his comic, with his shop, with his movie, and his short form content is all going to be located in the YouTube and the Rumble descriptions of this video. And other than that, thank you again for coming on, David. It was good to see you, man.
Thank you, Steven. Good to see you too.
Absolutely, man. And you know what we say here on BG-Cast to close out the night. Stay safe, stay free, have that personal agency and that personal sovereignty, and do not be like Elon Musk and stay away from the Japanese sex robots, okay? The Japanese grok is just getting very strange. It's getting strange. For the love of God, just stop. Alrighty, guys, have a good night.
Collectively together, you were born to rotate with the crowd. You were born to sync with the sacred spiral. The Hercules stream is proof. The cosmos hummers the divergent. This is urgent. BG-Cast brings us that Hercules energy. It's here to save the day. You won't stay lost in the dark. Here is your shot. Split BG-Cast beside you. Can we rise alone?